Remember my mic this time. What's in the chat? We're all poor. We're all still poor. I'm eating my crackers. $619. If we have to do the minus 100 wings token for asking when TGE, we have that penalty. Do you have to start paying it now in USDC after the announcement today? Good question, huh? Welcome, all three people that are here so far. Let me go share it in the Discord. Take a break from politics for a second. I need a new I need to make a new thumbnail for my Tuesday night lives that says Tuesdays instead of Thursdays. All right, we ready now? All right. 619 asks, do you have any issues with geosonars on your DIYs? Mine keeps disconnecting somehow. What do you mean by disconnecting? Like, does it say that it like when you run like say a Wingbits status or something like that? Is it saying that it can't find satellites or no geosonars hooked up? I gotta say, and again, y'all know I have 14 DIY stations for me and about 5 that I host with friends, and then plus 1 or 2 for family members or friends at work. The only problem I ever had with them really was the initial installation. I had several that would not install at first, and I had to work with either Axie, Mike, or Maxi, because some of these were rock pies. The rock pies refused to take these geosonars. I think it was just the OS. You can remember some of these stations that, I know this is a long answer, I'm sorry, but some of these stations that I have using DIY devices were old helium liners or little potatoes or rock pies. Back when we were in the previous project that we shall not name because they were a scam and took people's thousands of dollars. And that was back in beginning 2023. So it was an older version of OS. And when I tried to hook up geosonars, it would not take, and the team couldn't get it done either. So I had to actually go put a newer OS on it. That's the only issue I've had. Now, helping out Mr. Glenn, if y'all were on live last week, y'all know I've been helping Mr. Glenn out. And also Wilbur has been helping Mr. Glenn out. No, Wilbur. Yeah, what's his name? Tombers. I'm sorry. Tombers has been helping Wilbur out. We're seeing some kind of weird issue with his, and every now and then his geosonar says it's got no satellites, no GPS or something like that, but then all of a sudden it's got 30 satellites. But he's got something else wonky going on, because his TAR 1090 screen will blink and then have a server error, then go away, then have a server error, then go away, and have a server error. And like, it's just pulsing. I don't know what that is, but that's it. Like, knock on wood, I have not had any geosonars. None of my other stations I help with friends have had geosigner issues. Nobody's really had a geosigner issue. I know during the chat today, and we're going to discuss the AMA in a minute, I know somebody was asking about spare geosigners because theirs was having an issue, and Robin told them to make a ticket. But that's, you don't really hear that much about geosigners, and what they had about 2,000 stations with geosigners, if that makes sense. I will say that, you know, so somebody mentioned about power. They are some power hungry. I did have that issue. I had some that were running off like 2-amp power supplies, just because a lot of your USB plug-in type things, you know, are 2 amps from the cellular industry hotspot type thing, and those had issues. They are power hungry. That when, especially my potatoes and my devices that I had a USB dongle somewhere on my messy ass desk, but I had the ones that had a USB dongle for Wi-Fi. So then you were trying to, out of the pie, you were trying to power your SDR, your USB Wi-Fi little thumb drive thing, and you were trying to power the geosigner. Those needed 3-amp, 3.5, 4-amp power supplies to drive them. But I know you're saying that you don't think it, but what I found is that if you had a power issue, it did not just affect the geosigner, like the whole device had issues. The SDR would have the server issue and that kind of stuff with them. I hate to say it, but that does 619. That does sound like a power issue. But does it come back online like an hour or two later when it gets bright outside and the solar's picking up? You know, is there a way of remotely seeing what the voltage is on those, on that solar setup in that panel? I'm curious to know that. Paydays tomorrow for 375 AI. Well, I might be able to take my $20 and get a pizza. Who parted? Welcome. It's been an interesting day. In some of our projects. I have to say that. You know, looking at the 9 people here and who's been chatting, I'm thinking most of y'all know what's going on with Wingbits. We had our AMA. Fun fact, I'm an idiot. I took 2 pages of notes, and they're all still on my desk at work because I'm a moron. But I was there late, working on something, and it started getting late, and I wanted to hurry up and come run home. Try to eat before this AMA, so I'm not eating on camera again. And yeah, I was 3/4 of the way home, which is like a 25-30 minute drive, and I realized all my notes were still on my desk. So y'all might still get a I'm definitely not TGE, AMA video. And I might just release it Friday so I can release something while I'm out of town. So another fun fact is, I didn't know if I could release this or not, but I've just been given the green light. A little bit of bragging. Y'all know I have been in Wingbits since probably I would say the 6th or 7th station in the United States, maybe a little bit after that, but it's my first #1 station was, I want to say it was still during alpha, which was, I guess, around April of 2025-ish, maybe. I know I had a station. Axie had a station on the East Coast. There was 1 or 2 stations on the West Coast, 1 or 2 stations in New York, and that was it. There was nothing in the South. Axie had the East Coast covered somewhere, wherever he's located at, the Carolinas. There was nothing in the South, nothing in Florida, nothing in the South at all. nothing in Houston, Dallas, Louisiana. Put a station up on top of my roof to see what would happen. Now I have 15 total stations. What I have just been informed is, as they were, maybe they're scared. We're going to talk about this whole early withdrawal thing in a minute, but what I have been told and just announced is that while looking at all the data analytics, Grumpy is the top performer in Wingbits with a staggering 1.4 million total wings with 48.7 billion data points across multiple stations. He just thought that was basically almost 50 billion data points contributed. So my comment back to this person was, I truly think I need my own reward for that. So I asked him if it's public, and he said, I guess you can brag about it. Of course I'm going to brag about it. Especially now while I'm being questioned by people. Am I worried about Wingbits? Or it sounds like you're having some type of, hesitation about it or negativity. Not at all. Not at all. I know some people don't agree with this, but I think, and look, it could be also because I have 1.4 million tokens too, but I really like the announcement today. Now, don't get me wrong. If Wingbits was ready, of course, I would love for them to be TGE and not be doing this early withdrawal thing. But I think if more projects did it like this, or didn't bend to the peer pressure of when TGE, maybe they wouldn't have rushed to TGE and they would still be a sustainable project today. We look at some of our projects and that you have some projects that since the day they were released, they have been a steady downfall ever since. Is this what y'all want from Wingbits? A 95% drop since TGE? I understand. And look, I was in the AMA. They have people who are downright not happy. I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it and act like this is, a great thing. Or that not everybody's 100% happy or whatever. My point is, I much rather see them say, we're still not ready yet to sustain this token, whether through buybacks, burning, or whatever options they have. I'd much rather them admit that and say, we're not ready, but they are hearing us. Yeah, people like me who have been in this project now for 2 years, who are saying, look, we've been in this project for 2 years. We have money. Look, I have DIY stations. I'd love to sit down at some point and figure out, what do I have put out in money on DIY stations? Because I had to buy some little potatoes and sweet potatoes at some point. Some of my pies are reused helium. But hey, you know what? I had to buy antennas. I had to buy feed line. I had to buy SDRs. Hell, an SDR and an antenna, that's $100 right there. I do have a high fixed device. It was gifted to me with no strings attached, and I thank them for that. But there are people who bought several high fixed stations who are out of way more money than I am. And I understand that. They got their money outstanding. They got their wife asking what's going on with that project. And you have hosts, because I know I have hosts that are saying, hey man, this thing's been in my backyard for 2 years now. what the hell's going on? Are you making money and I'm not making money, and that kind of stuff like that? And I can understand that. So Wingbits had pressure, I'm sure, and kudos for them to grab their testicles and say, guys, we hear you. We know this isn't what you want, but we've come up with an alternate plan. And I think that alternate plan, for those who take it, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. I've had probably, I'm not gonna lie to you, 10, maybe 12 people who reached out to me want to know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna talk about that in a second, but you're not forced to do anything. You're not forced to take any of this early payment for them. But I still think this is, to me, and listen, if y'all know of another project that has ever did this, please let me know. But this is unheard of, as far as I know. They know it's been way too long, or this is me paraphrasing. This is not their words. This is my words. They know that people have been waiting for TGE, keep asking for TGE, or getting pissed off that TGE was supposed to be back in August. I remember them talking about the summertime. Then it was August, and no matter what, it was definitely going to be beginning of September, because they had contracts on. Remember that? And I kept saying it over and over in every video and in every chat room. Don't worry, they promised us in September. And they came on the AMA and said, guys, it ain't going to be it. And while I was pissed off, I ain't going to sit there and lie to y'all and tell you I wasn't pissed off. But I understand where they're coming from. They're going to say, that's fine, we can go to TG right now, and the token's going to do this. And then y'all going to cry and bitch that the token's unsustainable. And I told that to somebody in the Discord. Look, I've been in so many Discords the last 2 days trying to keep up with things. And I remember, I don't say having that argument, having that discussion, heartfelt discussion with some guy, and saying that, we just need to go to TGE, and that's fine. But when it drops like a rock because Wingbits can't sustain the selling pressure, then you can be saying Wingbits pulled a rug pull. Now, without getting off the rails here, I will say this. What you see going on with Nubla, and I'll be honest with you, I was quite surprised. Robin, I almost want to know if Robin knows exactly what's going on, or has he been keeping up with the and I hate the curse, I'm sorry, y'all gonna forgive me, but the absolute shit show that's going on at Nubla right now. Because this isn't just basic selling pressure. People selling, because all your tokens ain't locked. I mean, it isn't unlocked. This is some kind of shenanigans going on, and I hate to create FUD, but this isn't just basic people selling their first part of somebody's selling something. You don't lose 92%, and really, you've lost 92% in basically a week. This is some downright shenanigans. So the fact that he talked so high about Nubla, I wonder if somebody tapped Robin on the shoulder after and said, bro, you might want to go check Nubla. Go check their Discord. I've been in some rough Discords, Grass and some of these other ones. But if there was ever a pitchfork, flaming stake Discord riot going on right now, it's in Nubla. Now, don't go leave my live to go look for that. Make sure you hit the like button before you leave. But Nubla's got a complete shit show going on. And I'm going to tell y'all, I have a device. I paid for and I showed y'all me in the video buying a host thing, whatever you want to call it, node. I purchased that $300 out of my own pocket. So I'm in the same boat as y'all. Because somebody made an asinine comment to me after my last video and said, you didn't have to pay for your Nubla. I paid for the node, $300 out of my pocket. So if you just paid for a station, guess what? We're in the same boat, brother. In fact, at least stations are still getting rewards on Nubla. Nodes haven't gotten a reward since the beginning of October. And we keep asking in their Discord, where the hell are node rewards? And nobody wants to answer us. So I know I got completely off track, but my point is, this is a shit show. You don't want to see this happen. So you want a project to be able to sustain what they can sustain that token and everything like that. So Wingbits, And again, some people were upset about the timing of it. I can understand actually saying, you know, is there a perfect timing for this announcement? Because if you would have put this announcement out well before the AMA, there have been 1,000 questions before they could explain anything. People wouldn't have been patient. And I can understand, you know, putting it out right before the AMA so everybody can come on the AMA and you know, listen to them and see what's going on. Oh, let me catch up before we get started on this. Where'd you find the data? Congrats. Happy Canadian. Just have a bit forward, but you're way behind. I'm way behind y'all. So 100-watt panel. 100-watt panel, 15 watts going to power, 11 watts being used by the whole system. That's pretty good. I've been doing a lot of solar stuff lately. A lot of solar stuff at work with cameras. I'm starting to mess with that more. I thank you for that because you've helped me out a lot with that. And now I'm in the process of building 3 mesh-tastic nodes strictly running off solar in a little 7,000 milliamp hour. But I don't want to get too way off thing. I have bit harvest, just can't tail scale. Let me tell you right now, and I hate to knock my buddies, bit harvest is having tail scale issues. I got 3 stations right now, and I have stations that just keep losing their tail scale. And it ain't because the tail scale thing expires. I have the expired thing. It just happens to be at 5:58 a.m. or 6:58 a.m. or 5:59 p.m. that 3 stations in a row lose their tail scale thing. No, I'm sorry, that's not tail scale. I've kind of briefly brushed over this really fast, so I don't want to knock certain people or anything like that, but I have slowly, as I've had to go to different stations, I'm taking bit harvest off of devices and putting regular Pi OS on it, doing my Wingbits DIY, doing EarnApp, doing, you know, Honeygain, whatever I can do through Docker and calling it a day. The problem I have with that is, and why I liked the third-party software is because these are helium devices in good helium locations. So this was a way that I could do helium along with Wingbits, along with EarnApp. What I've been having to do lately is if I really wanted to keep a Baton Rouge, if I really wanted to keep a helium device going, and I wanted to drop bit harvest, I have one station down right now with bit harvest on it. And some of them, the apps still work. Some of them, the apps don't work. But what I did is I went and purchased a sweet potato from LibreBoard or whatever. And when I go out there next week, because this week I'm leaving tomorrow to go hunting, and I'll be going out through the rest of the weekend, I'm going to put the helium OS back on it so that helium station's there, because I'm not going to lose my helium station in Baton Rouge because they're only 2 that do anything. And then I'm going back to regular Pi OS, which is what you put on the sweet potatoes. I've did several videos on it. That's going to run my DIY Wingbits along with EarnApp and whatever else I'll put on it. And it sucks. I'm going to have to run 2 devices, but I can't have these devices keep going offline. So anyway, so let me see. Where did I find the data? You talking about the data of me being number 1? I was sent a DM about that. I was sent a DM that said, hey, random fact, wanted to let you know, congratulations, you're number 1 in our hearts and in our data. And I knew that all along. Especially in our hearts, because I know the Wingbits guys love me. Yeah, how many of those are redundant coverage? I would say half of redundant coverage, because y'all know, and I've covered it, that I am slowly starting to push stations out. I have a station that's been offline almost a month now because I sent it to a guy who is bringing it to I call it the West Coast, because I don't like to give away my locations because they get sniped. But I think, y'all think I'm in first place now. I'm putting this station in a location that has 0 coverage. 0 coverage. Now, when you get towards the outskirts, that has coverage. Some from California, some from Idaho or something. But I found a buddy who has a spot dead in the center of the desert, and there's no coverage there right now. So, yeah, graphs happen. Can't blame TGE. So I don't even know where the hell I left off at. So Wingbits comes out with this announcement. Wingbits update. You powered through this network long before any token existed. We owe you clarity, honesty, decisions that protect the long-term value of what we're building together. Today's update contains 2 important messages. Our TGE will not launch in the previously anticipated window. Eligible participants will have the opportunity to redeem up to 50%. I missed that part. I had to ask actually earlier. And he said, if you saw that in my Discord, up to 50% of their redeemed beta rewards for USDC without waiting for mainnet. This was not an easy announcement to make. We're choosing the hard right path over the easy, risky one. We're allocating 400,000 USD for our community as part of this initiative. Then they go on to, when done the right way, launching a token costs millions. It requires deep liquidity, institutional grade makers. Then you start to have this discussion during the AMA on exchanges. People saying don't do Binance because Binance is crooked. And I think they talked about in the past like how much money Binance wants. And I don't think you have to worry about that. But then they also, which was a very surprising thing, they said Coinbase was free to list. Basically, you go through a check with Coinbase now, and they said if you're on base, it makes it easier. But basically, it's all about how they feel about your project and your token nowadays. At least that's what he said during the AMA. Y'all heard it too. But anyway, he didn't 100% say it was going to be on Coinbase. He's just saying that's part of the approval process, is what their gut feeling is. Enterprise partnerships involve long sales cycles. I will say during, this is part of my notes, I'm going to say it now before I forget. People asked them numerous times on how many customers they have. And he announced that they have 12 customers right now. He did say also that right now they have about 80% world coverage, which leads the industry. So all these people who said that we couldn't compete with Radar Box and ADSB Exchange and FlightAware and stuff like that, we passed them up as far as coverage is concerned. We've passed them up. Now, some of those people are still in contracts with those, but he did say for us to become a main player, we have to be able to provide almost worldwide coverage, especially as far as landmass goes. Now, people have asked them, and we've seen it before about, hey, if there's certain areas that need to be hit, will y'all offer like bonuses or some type of station discount or something like that? And they are up on that, up to that. They are looking into that. I think they already had that for like the Southeast Asia region or something like that. I remember seeing something about that. So they are looking at some type of initiative to be able to get people who might want to deploy in areas that are needed. They talked about needing coverage in the Middle East and the Asia area, but they also talked about how there's certain countries where you cannot deploy this stuff. China being one, Egypt being another one. I didn't know that about Egypt, but Egypt's another one. You cannot deploy this stuff. It's illegal. So going on with this. So redeem a portion of your rewards pre-TGE. Oh, going back to this other part. We cannot share a final TGE date. We have commitments from strong exchanges and liquidity partners. Now, if I remember correctly, I think it was Kraken or one of them already basically let that cat out the bag. They will be having Wingbits on their exchange, Kraken, which is probably one of the top 5 exchanges out there. So that's a pretty big deal. We're not doing an influencer driven circulation campaign. I don't know what the hell that means. What I've always seen influencer driven circulation campaign is that comes from like your high fix websites that's selling the devices, or that comes from Helium Deploy, or some of these websites that y'all know of that sell the devices. I know I'm still a very, very small fish in the fishbowl But I have not had any project contact me about influencer driven circulation type thing or campaigns or anything like that. But again, I'm not ahead of myself. I'm not swollen headed. I know I have 36,000 subscribers. And while I am grateful for every single one of y'all, truly I am, y'all know I am. But let's be honest. They have a choice between going to somebody who has 130,000 subscribers or 30,000. They're going to 130,000 subscribers. I don't doubt that. I don't blame them. I'm probably cheaper than they are, but I also don't sell my soul for the devil either. Y'all know I have a very hard time discussing on video when I'm not in a project, so they're not diluting community allocations. There will be no team or investor unlocks at TGE, and only station operators will unlock on day one. No other categories will receive unlocks at TGE. I think it's a very big deal because we've seen this in other projects. We've seen other projects where investors get a percentage unlocked at TGE. And then it's only like 30 or 90 days later, they get them unlocked again. And I'm like, whoa, that was great. So I think this is huge. I think all this is huge. So I wanted to make sure I hit on that. I know this is getting boring. I apologize, but they aim to make this one of the most community-aligned token launches in deep in space. Listen, I know that y'all call me a kiss ass for Wingbits. Let me change the screen and let me get serious real quick. Y'all can call me whatever y'all want. I'm not losing sleep at night. Sorry for cursing. See, you see how now. Can you imagine having a conversation with me without a camera in my face? My wife says I need to go to church every day with the flying F words that come out like adjectives in my mouth. But y'all can say what y'all want. I still think, could be wrong. This is strictly my opinion, and I've been wrong once or twice this year before. I think deep pin projects will be able to learn something when this is all done by Wingbits. Instead of rushing to TGE and screwing your project up for the future, I'm not saying do this, like we're joining this other project that, or even 4D Sky. 4D Sky that's supposed to be going to TGE in 5 to 6 months. Okay, in 5 to 6 months, they can't go to TGE. I don't expect them, even if this works great, to start doing something like this. We are been in this project for 2 years. But I still think when this is said and done, deep in projects or even other kind of crypto projects going to look at this and say, you know what, instead of rushing to TGE and screwing ourselves possibly, if you can only do TGE once. How many times Robin said that? You can only do TGE once. You screw it up, you're done. You can't pull it back. Even though Brusho is doing something like that right now, but I don't want to get off the rails anymore because I'm already confused and lost. But I still think people are going to look at this and say, this wasn't a bad way of doing it. I don't know. I have some questions on what's going to happen with exchanges. Or the tokens that we lose and what happens, but we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, going back to this. So, delays come at real cost. To honor the commitment, offering a one-time, because somebody asked that question, this is a one-time opportunity. You have 10 days. Right now, you actually have 5 days to make this decision. So somebody was asking me that earlier. Trying to see when there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, you have until Monday, depending on where you're at. That's 5 days for me. Monday to make this decision. Once Monday starts, you have 10 days to make a decision, because once this is done, it's done. If it takes another, I'm not saying they said this, but if this takes another 2, 3, or 4 months to go TGE, they're not opening this up again. So what's the eligibility? So everyone who qualifies is offered the size to redeem 50% of the rewards, approximately 400,000 in USDC will be distributed on this program. It'll be significant but worthy expense to make sure the community feels. But again, that's if everyone. I've already seen several people, and they could be just saying this, say they're not doing it. No, Grumpy has 1.4 million tokens. So 1.4 million tokens. divided by 2 is 700,000 tokens times 0.005. That's $3,500 if I want to take it. I'm not taking $3,500 worth of these tokens. Not at 0.005. But hold that thought. My point is, so somebody's saying, man, y'all burning $400,000. That's what somebody made that comment. That's why I'm addressing it. That's only if everyone does it. There's been several people in my Discord saying they're not doing this. I can tell you right now, I'm not doing 100% of my 50%, if that makes sense to y'all. So you don't have to worry about them burning $400,000 in USDC out of their budget. So what's the eligibility? A beta station that has more than 15,000 wings. Now, this right here is cost issue because you have these people making comments that, I mean, I've been, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody. So just take a deep breath and follow me in this. Man, I've been in this project since day one. No, you haven't. But I've been in this project since day one. What's day one? What's day one for you? Because unless you're part of one of 4 or 5 stations in the United States, which I doubt, but because they had some big time, the amount of rewards you were making at the time was just, anyway, to day one, and I don't have 15,000. Well, then, brother, you need to DM me because there's something wrong with your station. If you've been in this project for a year, you should have more than 15,000 rewards. You know, if you were making 100 tokens a day, it took 150 days to get that. 5 months. So since June. A lot of y'all been in this thing for almost a year now. So you divide this by a year, and yeah, you divide this. If you divide this by a year, that's 1,250 a month. Divided by 30. Basically, you needed 41 wings a day to get to this number. Now, let me keep going. You can redeem up to 50% of your tokens. You'll be able to see the maximum USDC amount redemption in your dashboard. So, starting December 1st, you will go to your Wingbits dashboard, and there will be an option, and it will tell you about withdrawing. The calculation is formed by market research analysis that result in a fixed USDC amount. So a lot of people are asking, how the hell did they come up with this implied rate of 0.005 for the program's purpose? They did not randomly come up with that number. That was part of the evaluation that somebody did for them on what they thought this project would be worth. And the FDV evaluation came up to, I don't want to lie to you, I have that number written down. If somebody knows it, please go ahead and type it. I don't remember exactly what the FDV evaluation was, but I thought it might have been even on here. This formula is used solely to recognize contribution value and does not represent a price or value per reward, token price, market value, financial valuation of any credit or future token. The redemption rate is set to recognize the time, cost, contribution, and value will remain the same for all eligible participants in this program. So they're doing this basically to recognize your time, cost, and contribution of active. People like me who have 30 of these stations literally that I'm babysitting from me, my friends, and family. Trust me, I appreciate it. 10 days to opt in via your dashboard. USDC is currently targeted for distribution in mid-December. So make sure you understand that. If you go to your dashboard and you decide you want to do this, it will not come immediately. The distribution will be in mid-December. You'll be able to confirm your interest in this program directly in your dashboard from December 1 until December 10th. And I meant to ask them, at one point they were also discussing, there are several of us who are owed refunds because we were so early in this project. If those of y'all who were early, we had to buy hexes. If you wanted to cover, like me, I was in Louisiana. If I wanted to cover North Louisiana and get rewarded for North Louisiana and my coverage in Mississippi, and if I was hitting Texas, 3 people could buy a hex. So you also wanted to buy the hex first. So it's $20 per hex. and it was the hex, maybe the hex 3 resolution, you would go and buy hexes, and then you would get the full rewards from that hex. If you didn't buy the hex, you only get like 10% of the rewards. Then they got away from that scale. We had a decision. If we could make the decision, we had to sign up. Do you want the rewards? I mean, you want a refund now, or do you want a refund in Wings tokens plus 10%, 20%, or something like that? And of course, majority of us opted for that. Lately, there was some talk on discussing, instead of making it that difficult, whatever, just giving us back our money, whatever, or just doing some kind of early payment now, not waiting for the first, they were going to cut off. I mean, they were going to spread out over 12 months, and no, it's not going to be, it's going to be 100% at the beginning and stuff like that. I was curious if there was any discussion about that. I meant to ask that during the AMA today. This is also important. Any redeem rewards will not receive the 20% online bonus post TGE. Make sure you understand that. You're not going to get the 20% bonus right now, or the 20% bonus TGE. This is not a token sale, buyback, or investment event. Voluntary redemption of part of your contribution-based non-transfer rewards designed to provide flexibility, immediate value to long-term support. So I want to make sure I take a second and discuss this too, because some people are confused on this. They are not buying back your tokens or anything like that. Basically, they're looking at your rewards and saying, you want to do X amount for 0.005. They're just not going to reward you that come mainnet. Now, my question still is, either way, during that day, there is X amount of tokens in the Wingbits system that is supposed to be rewarded out. Now, those tokens technically were not rewarded out. So they just go back to the bank, or they're going to be burned. Who faulted us? Somebody asked that question, and they said, oh, no, well, there's nothing to burn because we never issued those tokens. I understand that. Technically, you're right, because we didn't go TGE yet. But as far as testnet's concerned, and the one-to-one thing, on whatever day that was back in last year, those tokens were still issued out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or maybe I'm just lost and confused on this. That I have that question still, is what's going to happen to these tokens, though? Or is Wingbits going to sell them come TGE to reimburse their 400,000? I don't know. I don't know. This is me talking out loud. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. It's not the end of the world. To be clear, this is optional, completely optional. Community first is not just a slogan for us. We always want our community to eat first. You're the ones who built the token. Looking ahead, we know delays cause frustration, noise, and speculation. And I think that's part of this too, is there's been a lot of this FUD about the project lately. A lot of loudmouths coming in. I even got into it, one of them, about, creating FUD and doing stupid stuff in their Discord. And I left it alone after we went back and forth once or twice. But again, he says what he said before. TGE is in the end. It's the beginning. We only get one shot at launching this token the right way with the right foundations. So there you have it. One thing I have some notes that I just thought about here is going back to one thing I said was people complaining about not having a lot of tokens is what kind of setup do you have? I know in my Discord, somebody made a comment and we asked them what kind of setup we're trying. And we're not trying to be a smart ass saying, man, what kind of setup do you have that you only got 100? No, we're trying to say, well, if you didn't get that many tokens, what kind of setup do you have? Let us help you out. One guy said he had, the stations in the basement and the antennas all the way on top of the roof. Well, that's a long distance. And look, I don't have basements in Louisiana, but I have an idea that a feed line's got to be at least 30, 40, 50 feet long. What kind of feed line are you using? Are you using a feed line that's this thick at all and you have majority loss? Or are you using LMR 400? Is there any way you can put PoE on it we're doing some of this stuff to help you out and to help the project out. But better coverage is better for everybody. You know, you helping out somebody and helping them with a better station is better for the project. You're not going to lose that much tokens by helping somebody who's already getting some tokens and helping them improve a little bit. Before I bring up my next subject about this, let me catch up on my comments and see what everybody's got to say. 619 says if you don't have 15,000 tokens, you don't need to be in Project 7. It's worthless. I'm not going to say that because it also depends on how long you've been in the project and where you located at. Somebody did bring up the question about if they were going to start, and I hate, again, this is why I wish I had my notes, because I don't like to use words that weren't said because people take my words for fact, but I am very much paraphrasing when I say, if I could summarize, basically, hey, is Wingbits going to step in at some point about oversaturated areas? And basically their answer was, as of right now, no. I can't remember if they said there was any kind of discussion or they should be maybe discussing it, but basically they said, you heard somebody else comment, if we were to ever discuss some oversaturated areas, and he said, like Germany or New York, that kind of deal like that. Look, it doesn't take an Einstein to go look at the map, and I won't pull it up right now because I'm going to make this thing even longer than what it's already going to be. But it doesn't take an Einstein to look at Germany or New York and say, or even 619's backyard in Los Angeles and say, holy hell, maybe we need to do like a helium type thing where, was it a hex 2 or hex 4 or hex whatever it is, the bigger hexes, and say, okay, yes, the hex around your house doesn't, I guess I'm going to have to pull the map up. The hex around your house, it might be open, but there's so many in this bigger hex that I'm trying to get the map up. I didn't fall asleep, I promise. I don't know why, but when I do this live at night, none of my hexes ever show up. But my point I'm trying to make is, Helium had a thing that, once they allowed 25 stations inside one hex, they also started dinging you on larger hexes, like a general area. There's only so many stations allowed in one hex, and then there's only so many stations allowed in a larger hex. Maybe they look at that and say, look, yes, there's a couple of hexes here, but you're also at the maximum for this general area, or the maximum around this airport. That could be an idea. Like this. Hey guys, do we really need a station right here? We know you want to be part of the project. Hey, we're happy you want to be part of the project, but guys, I appreciate it, but do we really need a station right here? I mean, we got this one right here, and making 30. And this is a pretty good set of blocks, but do we really need another station right here? Maybe that's an idea. I don't know. For the moment, Grumpy never said $5 wings. Maybe $5 wings at Hooters when it's on special Wings Wednesdays. But we had this price discussion earlier, which we're not allowed to. Not supposed to be price discussion, but hey, we don't work with projects, so we can price discuss. People kept asking me over and over of my approximate price on wings, and I would never get nailed down to what my approximate guesstimate would be for wings. What I did tell y'all several times was, go look at what other 10 billion token supply projects are at or what they're doing. And if you also heard me mention that, hey, then I said, if it's a 10 billion, the decimal's here. If it's 100 billion, you move the decimal back one. If it's a 1 million, you move the decimal. And then I would also say, well, look, this 1 million token supply, 1 billion token supply project, look, it's worth 10 cents. So if a 1 billion token supply is 10 cents, you move the decimal back for a 10 billion like Wingbits, my guesstimate would be 1 penny. At 100 billion, it would move it back, and now it's 0.001 penny. And that's when I go with my projects and I say, hey, look at this market cap. This project should be probably a little bit higher, a little bit lower, something like that. Now, I've said I would love to see Wings at a 2, 3, 4, 5 cent, especially me being number one, 1.4 million wings. Oh, I would love to see a 5 cent wing. But it's also the reality. I like to guess a 1 cent wing so that I can kind of be in the middle, where if it's a little bit higher, hey, I'm happy. If it's a little bit lower, yeah, I wasn't that far off. You know, I don't see a, yeah, 1.4 million tokens at a nickel. I'm looking at $70,000. Ain't gonna happen, but I'm just saying that. I mean, ain't gonna happen in the near future. How about that? But I would say 1 cent to 2 cent. That's a basic 10 billion. Now you have other projects that have really taken off. Some top 20, 30 projects that are 10 billion token supplies, and they're up to like, I think it was like 10 and 12 cents, at least before this crash. Those are very good, well established projects. So Grumpy didn't say 5 cents. I know you'll joke with me, or $5. That's for damn sure. Awkward has been online for 6 months is only 20K. I'd like to. I don't know. I don't know how long my. So I had a WB 200 that was online from June 16th to September 6th. September. So you look basically at 3 months. That had 18,000 tokens. And that's in 3 months. With another station literally right down the street from this was in Grand Isle. It used to be in Grand Isle. Grand Isle's it's an island, but it's got 2 hexes on it. So I had the WB 200 on one side of the island, and I had a DIY on the other side of the island. So in 3 months, I made 18,000 tokens. 3 months. So I've been over the threshold. Not that I would have sold half of that. But anyway, I feel like 120. I don't disagree with you at this point. 619 says, I feel like I want my 20 per hex and not tokens. We all know tokens going to drop in TGE, so I can buy at the bottom but not be given tokens at the top. I kind of like that idea. I know I made a decision in the beginning that I wanted wings, but I also look at it now as and again, guys, I'm screwing with y'all by saying this, but I'm being for real though. I have 1.4 million wings tokens. I don't want. I don't remember how many hexes I bought. I want to say I bought. It was several $100 worth, $400 or $500 worth. I really don't want $400 more wings. I would take that. And I remember them talking at one point about possibly just giving the money back or something like that. I don't know. I wish I actually was in here. Maybe he doesn't want to make an official statement. I don't know. Maybe he's in here lurking, one of the 17 people here, as long as everybody pressed the like button. Hint, hint. But anyway, there's a part of me that says, I wish I could just take. Part of it is that I have so much stuff to do now that I still owe the IRS. I have a month left to pay off that. I got most of it paid off, but you know, I'd like to put some prepaid taxes back towards next year's return, since I'm scared that I did my tax. I was taking out extra taxes in 2024, and I end up owing Uncle Sam almost $2,000 still. And I'm claiming zero on my taxes at work to take extra out, and I'm still had to pay. Everybody know at work had to pay. So I have a little bit left of what I owe for that. They put me on payment plan. But as part of me, I'd also like to make a prepayment for next year so I don't get hurt. But I got to pay off my chiropractor. I still got to pay off my hospital that is calling me all the time for my surgery bills, $4,000 in surgery bills. I have a lot of stuff lurking over my head. I would just like that money back at this point, the hex money. But saying all that, so people keep asking me, what is Grumpy going to do? Have to wait and see. Film on 20 years, not done. We all know the drop of the questions issues. Again, because a token launches doesn't mean it's the end of the world. The project itself needs to be successful. $4 a foot of LMR. I only run 4 feet. Can't believe there are people here with 50+ feet. But it ain't that expensive, because I'm going to tell you, I buy majority of my LMR 400 for projects like this. The KMR 400 from Amazon. I did some sweeps on it with my meter at work. It's not that bad. Now, I wouldn't go hook up repeaters at work and public safety repeaters that have to run top notch. I'm buying real LMR 400 from Times or someplace like that from my local radio shop, but also works paying for it. No, you go look at my stuff. Grumpy's got KMR 400 or whatever Amazon sells. But even that, I have one station that has maybe 40 or 50 feet of LMR, and it's got some loss. It's got some loss, but I don't have the option of doing any kind of PoE or anything like that. Like, I'm forced to do that length of station. So it is what it is. Oh, good. Oh, actually, yes, here. I'm just catching up, probably a little behind a lot, but the influence campaign thing is when a project does a deal for promote. A project does a deal. Promotion influencer gets tokens that unlock. Oh, okay. Well, if you want to work that out, no, I'm just joking. The influencer campaign does a deal for promotion, and influencer gets tokens that unlock potential TGE. Day zero. Wingbits doesn't need influence. No, I think there's plenty. Wingbits has done. We know Robin is going worldwide, globe trotting and stuff like that. People know about it. And that if Grumpy can ever start going to some conferences, with my Wingbits hat on. Actually, can you help me more about knowledge on Wingbits? But did he have that improvement? Knowledge on Wingbits, but do they have that improvement proposals? Crap. I don't know what that is. He's going to buy more crypto. What are hospital bills? Oh, who fought it? Lead the politics to another Discord. Trust me, who fought it? You're paying for it somewhere, brother. You're paying for it somewhere. What the hell were we asking if Axie was here or not? We were asking something. So another thing that got brought up in the AMA, this question I think was asked like 2 or 3 times, maybe more than that. Again, I was trying to work, answer phones. People come, people see you with headphones on. They can tell you on a conference, and yet they're going to stand by your desk and just look at you until you finally take the headphones off and ask you a question that you've answered several times. But 4D Sky, let's go ahead and talk about this elephant in the room. I've discussed 4D Sky on video several times on my lives, on my Monday or Tuesday videos and stuff like that. I've made it no secret that even though I did not ask for it, I was sent a 4D Sky. Y'all have seen it the other day. Pretty stout station. I have to give it to him. Again, this is made by Jet Vision. This is the Air Squitter. And you know, mine came with 2 antennas. One is it's a 1090 and GPS antenna, pretty rugged antenna. I'm curious if Jet Vision makes their own or if these are clones of something else. But usually, you know, even clones aren't made this well. But this really does look like a Laird. But anyway, so again, I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask. I was automatically sent one of these. And you know, people ask, well, you know, how do you feel about Wingbits? I told you before, I feel like I'm cheating on my spouse because I love Wingbits so much. And that's not me being sarcastic, it's me being for real. I was assured by the Wingbits team that there's no harm at all, you know, no harm felt by this. And the more I looked into the videos of 4D Sky, the more I've heard even Robin talk today about them, the more I even heard there's a video with Helium Deploy and the guy, Jason, something like that, that runs 4D Sky. I realized that, well, I guess technically, if you really want to be anal about it, they are maybe in competition, but they almost are not. Yes, they both do ADSB. And another thing I want to say is, what's wrong if they are? We got like 5 or 6 weather station projects in DPIN already. How many of these driving around with the background thing with capturing hexes do we have? This station right now, you go to Helium Deploy and you can still get a WB200 for, what are they, $450? If you use the Grumpy code, you get 10% off. So it was almost $400, something like that. Just don't quote me on that, but it's very close. This is double the price. And y'all are complaining now. Some people are complaining now about Wingbits not going to TGE to possibly Q1 2026. Or these guys not going for, they're saying Q2 or Q3 2026, and we all know how that goes. Now, I'm not knocking 4D Sky. They seem like, you look at their website, you look at their videos, very professional. They seem like they have a good goal that they're going after, but they're also going after more of the UAS market, drone type stuff, kind of like the stuff that Wingbits is not hitting on. Wingbits is doing more of the aircraft, air traffic, air tracking, aircraft tracking. How much delay does this aircraft have while it's sitting on taxi, waiting at the runway? They just landed, but they're sitting out, waiting to get called to the gate, and all that kind of data that customers want and they're selling to. 4D Sky is not looking for that. So to me, and I know there's a way of explaining a lot better. I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's almost 2 different markets. But again, I think this is just me being for real. I have a device here. I got to finish a video today. I have to put it out tonight because this goes on sale tomorrow at Helium Deploy. But I still think the biggest turnoff is going to be, this thing's $1,000. $1,000. And I know some people have said, oh, if you go to Jet Vision or Air Squitter, you can buy one of those for 300 whatever euros or something like that, which is cheaper than what Helium Deploy sells it for. Yeah, but they don't have a 4D Sky license. You can go buy one of these direct, or if you already have one of these for some other project, that's fine. You can use that on 4D Sky as long as you buy a license with it. And you still need possibly another antenna. 2 antennas. Mine, I thank him very much, comes with a 978 UAT antenna. And as you can see, if I hold them both the same length, that one's a little bit bigger. But this is $100 more. And from what I understand, what I just told you was, you have to pay another $100. And that's what they're supposed to be going after, is that UAS or some of this market that is not on 1078, whatever it is, 1090. I'm sorry. So like $985 The Grumpy code only gets you $50 off. We were talking about that early in there with another person who has code also saying, and the problem comes in is if somebody wants to buy 2 of these, you only get $50 off one time. Now you can go and purchase one, get $50 off, purchase a second one later, $50 off, but then now you're paying shipping on both of them, not together. If you want the UAT one, that's another $113. So some of y'all who fought it is going to need a farm antenna. 120 is going to need a farm antenna EU. So you're not done with the 985. The 985 comes with the 1090 antenna, but you do get the 3 bonus months. I'm going to keep hitting on that because it's a great way to track your different projects and stuff. But hey, if you like to be in early projects and you like to take that chance and you got the cheddar, we know, and Wingbits has even said this is a huge market. Some of these businesses are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. The industry wants to buy this data. We know that. Now, 4D Sky, whatever they're going to do, can they do it? I don't know. But again, people brought this. The reason I'm discussing this right now in this AMA is because this question comes up in their Discord. Seems to be more and more. Oh, 4D Sky's coming up right behind you. 4D Sky's your competition. So I would tap the brakes a little bit. I showed y'all again in the other day, I showed y'all what a Wingbits map looks like versus what a 4D Sky looks like. And y'all saw what I just put. Y'all saw the map I just did for Wingbits when we were discussing possibly putting bigger hexes or anything like that. Look, they're early. I'm not knocking them at all, but they're not the ones claiming that they're going to be the competition and they're breathing down the neck. It's the people, some of the naysayers, some of the people who are not happy with TGE. They're the ones saying that you better watch out. 40 scars breathing down your neck. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not breathing down the neck. And I just don't see, and again, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not addressing should you buy one of these or not, because they're very, very early. I'm just a black, but people who are, let me see. Oh, Wingbits map. When you look at this, and you look at this, and then you look at this, they're not breathing down nobody's back. And I don't think they'll ever catch up. I forget what I actually said the other day, how many stations Wingbits has, but we know for a fact they had over 2,000 DIY devices, well over 2,000 high fixed devices. You're looking at 4,000 total devices. Right now, they have 111. And at $1,000 a piece, I don't think they're going to catch up. Now, I'm also going to completely flip around in 180 after what I just said and say, I still believe. You look at wrestling, you look at some of these other businesses, look at Motorola that wants to charge me new radio that just came out, handheld radio. They want $10,500 for the Motorola Next radio that's coming out. That's what it's called, Next. My sheriff saw one. He wants one. Fire chief saw one. He's in love with it. I think my other commander wanted to go home and make love to it. $10,500. There's no competition. No competition. Motorola can go charge whatever they want for handheld radios. There's no competition that meets Motorola standard. I think competition for some businesses is good. Not that it's going to damage those businesses, but just a little, just to keep on their toes and keep them going. All right. Grumpy, do you know your stations were tracking B-52s that visited Venezuela a few days ago? Well, that's the was that those military airplanes looking for those fishing boats in the Gulf of Mexico? I will show you something that I saw, and I didn't record it, but I saw on Facebook yesterday. We had a tragic incident. I'm gonna see if I can find it while I talk to y'all. But basically, um, we had a plane crash yesterday. And again, not that I'm trying to make light of it. It's a tragic incident. Small personal plane. Actually, the guy was a um, flight instructor. Comes from Gulfport, Mississippi, which is about right here. And on his approach to Lakefront Airport, right here, goes off radar. And but I hate to say the word cool. So forgive me for saying that word cool, but the fact that you can track this is, like I said, this isn't mine. This is Southwest Louisiana extreme weather. I didn't think about pressing the P and checking it all. This guy did, but I hate to say the word cool because look, somebody tragically lost their life. It is, but it's cool that you can see this. My station. I'm sorry, my buddy station that I split with 3 ways, whatever like that. I showed y'all in the video how one side has got a 2-story building next to his house, but I told y'all how, even though this was also before we knew what airports were going to be covered with low altitude, but a lot of dignitaries, because they don't want to deal with the New Orleans International Airport, presidents until Obama started switched from the small airport to the big airport. He wanted everybody to know he was here. And again, then after that, every president after that said, well, I want to be in the big airport. But a lot of you other dignitaries come to New Orleans, they use Lakefront because Lakefront's just a straight drive into New Orleans and don't have to deal with all this. But so I put in my buddy's station right here and to capture all this lakefront. And when I went to his station yesterday, I could see you can see this is the airport right here. My buddy's station's in here. And like I said, I hate to use the word cool. I don't know what word to use, but it was still, you know, if I could go back and track that, I'm sure I could figure out where that was. Gulf of America. Oh, Mountain conditions. You know, part of the appeal to 4D Sky is that, you know, depending on where you live at, where, you know, I used this yesterday. Dallas, I showed y'all Dallas earlier, is jam packed. It should be maxed out on Wingbits. It should be a closed sign, no entry. It's wide open. So if you do have the cheddar to take a chance, Oklahoma, I maybe go back to my buddy's place in, I hunted in West, which is up about an hour north, West. Preston. My buddy got a farm there. Maybe talk to him about putting a station up. This is where I also went hunting at, Missouri. Again, wide open is what I'm getting at. Where right now, Wingbits is littered through here. So that's one of the appeals that they want us to say about 4D Sky is, hey, if you're late on Wingbits, Maybe throwing a 4D sky up might be an alternative. You know. Going back to the AMA, they made it. They had a lot of people. Not so a lot. I hate to say it like that. Let me choose my words better. Several people who continue to complain about the high fix stations. I know I actually don't want to hear this if he's here. Who the hell is this? Danielle, I don't have a screwdriver right here to put. I have a knife to put in my eyes. I mean, how's that? I have a hex thing to put my. Oh, look, I do have a screwdriver. Oh, some people just. I think that's the first time I have ever had to do that in a live. I wonder what Danielle LeMay's real name is on on Discord. Anyway, what was I saying again? Oh, so one thing they did announce about some people discussed about high fix. I know actually don't want to hear me say my number one rule, Grumpy's number one rule is I told you so, but I basically said this fix or preventative maintenance that high fix wanted to do by putting an ESD device or some type of surge protector. And I don't even know what the hell mine is. That shows you how much faith I had into it. But all the junk I got on my desk. The surge protector that goes on top of oh, that works so much better now. I dropped it. I can't even get the cable off the bottom of it. Trying to keep my cable. So while my device might not be good anymore, at least with the cable, never want to have to replace that thing. So, damn, I can't even unscrew this thing. So anyway, the ESD from HiFix, I kind of said I don't think that was going to work. And you have people now in the Discord complaining that even when they had the ESD hooked up, their HiFix that fell in the range of the possibly affected station is now having issues. Jesus. So basically, I call them polyphasers at work, but this is what they sent to be the preventive maintenance, and you putting it on top of your high fix device was supposed to solve it. And then after that, you have your antenna. So it's not lightning protection, people. It's ESD protection, electric static discharge. You have lightning in your area that hits a mile away, half a mile away, quarter of a mile away, 200 yards away. That electricity, kind of like you touching the balloon thing and the hair sticks up. It's all that, or when you get out your vehicle and you touch something and it shocks you, that's electric static discharge. Electrons in the air touch this, it builds up and it has to go somewhere. That's why I used to tell people all the time, I used to get these huge arguments with helium and stuff like that. And even with these devices, with our DIY devices, you have to have a surge protection on it. People say, well, that's lightning protection. No, brother, chances are your stuff gets hit with lightning, it's going to be 2,000%. And I'm not going to bore y'all with it, but I have pictures of what happened to the antenna in my backyard that got struck by lightning. It was the best colon cleanser ever created by God. I was in the backyard when it got struck by lightning. Storm was over a mile away. I was picking up my kids' pool toys back when we had a pool, above ground cheap pool. Nobody, please don't think I got money and I'm flexing. Above ground cheap pool, one of those high ticks pools or whatever they are. Picking up whatever. I had a dipole antenna for ham going across with feed line that came down, was touching the ground, and cow. And I literally thought my life was over with. Best colon cleanser ever. I had a hole in my ground from where it came down the feed line, shot through the side of the feed line into the ground, and there was a hole there. The dipole was in 1,000 pieces. It was crazy. My point is, this isn't lightning protection. Even the one that, if y'all buy the one I tell y'all, that has a ground that comes out. Even if you don't have lightning around your house, you're not in South Louisiana, so you don't have crazy lightning storms. In Arizona, you have dry air, dry, windy, sandy, dusty air. That is abrasion going across this. That builds up electric static. It's got to go somewhere. So if you have a polyphase, I thought I had one in here, a polyphaser that has the little off bleed copper wire that goes to ground, that static ESD comes off of this and can bleed off somewhere to ground. This thing ain't got no place to bleed to. Yes, it might be a surge protector, and what it is it's meant to be a gas discharge surge protector that if something bad happens with the gas in it, it shunts down or does something and clamps down and is supposed to protect your equipment in your house. That's good for a one-time thing. If this thing gets struck by lightning or bad enough surge comes through it, real bad surge, the gas does whatever it does in here. I don't know exactly how they work, but I just know what they are. The gas discharge or gas filled, whatever. And it shunts down a certain way, and it prevents all that shock from going in here and then comes out of here to your house. I knew that this wasn't going to solve it, but I was told to give it a chance. I was told HiFix knew what they were doing. And now you have people who have these on here who are saying, it didn't work. Yeah, some people are saying that they didn't fall in. I haven't seen that many stations, honestly, that fell outside of the affected region of serial numbers. What I will say is that on the good part, Robin did say his words, it was kind of disturbing to see the amount of numbers, and they're still working with HiFix now. You have people complaining, and I've even heard some people from outside of the project, without giving out too many clues. I got people tell me stuff all the time, but I have to keep it in confidence. But basically people from other areas, other distributors, other things like that, who said HiFix, make sure I say this correctly. HiFix, nobody has ever said Wingbits. HiFix should step up and say, what was your average amount of tokens for the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 3 weeks, while you had it hooked up? You were making 75 a day. Well, we'll pay at least half of that while the station was down. A portion of it, 100% of it, or whatever. Now, I know it's hard because you're not in TGE, so they don't know what the hell they even offer. And I don't think they want to deal with 200 IOUs. So I don't know how they would do that. But anyway, people kept asking Robin about DIY devices. Can y'all bring back DIY devices? Can y'all bring back another supplier of some type of device or DIY devices? He didn't give out any other information other than stand by for an announcement in reference to that. Now, sometimes we read between the lines and we get it way wrong. Sometimes we read between the lines and we're dead on. I have to take that as a positive that something's about to happen. Either, and again, this is just Grumpy saying this. I have no inside information. I could be 100% wrong on this. Either they're going to come out with another supplier of these devices because they know that some people don't want to buy any more high fixes because of these issues. Or what I'm hoping, and I know I'm hoping for a lot, I just don't see it happening. But my personal hope is that they allow DIY devices again with a geosigner. You have to pay for geosigner, maybe even some kind of license. I know that they didn't want that because this is just my own words, but it was better security, better secure to have everything. Plus, everything's the same with Wingbit, with these high fix devices. Where when there's something going wrong with a DIY device, like in my case, hey, what OS are you using? Okay, you're using Debian. Well, is it Debian Bullseye? Is it Debian this? Debian 12, Debian 11, Debian 10? Which version is it? Wait, no, it's Ubuntu. Oh wait, it's Raspberry. Was the Raspberry Pi using the Debian? You see my issue? They gotta get all that stuff straight before they can even help troubleshoot. Where with this, they know what they're dealing with. Plus, I think the data was more secure and encrypted with this, if I'm not mistaken, than it was even with a geosigner. So I'm not putting my hopes up that it's about they're allowing DIY devices again. I'm too scared to look up at the comments and see if Axie's slapping my hand or not. Wait, is Ellie back again? Ellie's probably one of the Discord people that hate me, that think that because I talked bad about DFly, about them scamming people out of $4,000, that I'm the whole sole reason that DFly didn't make it. So nothing's gonna protect you from 1.21 gigawatts. That's it. Other than I will say, knock on wood, because it's gonna rain tonight and this whole weekend. Knock on wood. I don't want to be called in from the hunting camp. Knock on wood. That Motorola R56 grounding standard is a mother stucker. One day I have to take pictures for y'all, and I'll show y'all during a live of two of my towers that have up-to-date R56 standard. When I tell you all the copper has to run and all the copper wires have to run, and when they get brought in from another point, they all get brought in at the same angle. It's crazy. Everything is grounded. The hinges on the door frame are grounded. Copper wire. The air condition vent is grounded. The metal hook that's attached to the cinder block wall that holds the fire extinguishers, the metal hooks that it hangs on, is grounded. It is stupid. But I know for a fact both my towers have been struck multiple times with lightning. I'm going wood, because God, if I jinx myself this week, I'll be so pissed. I have not lost anything. One tower's been up since 2020. The other tower's been up since 2018. And I know one of my towers, I can't knock them on my desk. One of my towers has alarms that aren't hooked up because we're not using that stuff. But when they get struck with lightning, funny story, I get an email about all these alarms that we're not using. All these alarms going off. And I'm like, oh, got struck by lightning again. Everything's working. So that will work. That R56 though. But y'all not doing R56 though. R56 grounding alone's like 70, 80 grand or something. Like, it's stupid. They got a halo on the outside of the building with grounding rods, and all those grounding wires are wrapped with the copper to make one long grid. I'm talking about like multiple grounding, and then it goes out with ground wire and ground rod. It's stupid. If they bring back DIY for Wingbits, I'll go half with you, Grumpy, on the device and rewards. Well, let's cross that bridge when it comes. I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing any more stations. I'm slowly pushing my stations out of state. Um, you know, I got one here with a host, got one here with a host. Thing about this is the while it does over at 40,000 feet, it does overlap. I'm not stupid, but they also a lot of them have a unique coverage pattern. You know, this one can get damn well near to Cuba. That's the one y'all talking about with Venezuela. This one captures a lot of these. So is Grand Isle, but a lot of these helicopters are coming into the Morgan City area. This is all marsh. So all these helicopters on Mondays and Fridays and Saturdays coming offshore, this captures all these helicopters, whereas these stations don't. These stations capture Baton Rouge Airport. This one captures ground stuff at Baton Rouge Airport. This one doesn't. However, this one is slightly shaded because of the way the building roof is. So this one captures this the way. You see my issue? Like if I had to pull one of these stations, I would probably pull this one. This one's on one of my buddy's towers. I don't mix stuff between my tower at work and this thing's because I got 6 months left until retirement eligibility, and I'm not going to screw it up by putting a Wingbit station on a work tower. So luckily I have a friend, and I do a lot of networking stuff. It's starting to get almost ridiculous, but as long as he keeps my Wingbit stations on his two towers, I'm his buddy. But he almost really needs to hire a real IT person. But like this station right here, is literally on the water. This is my buddy's restaurant, literally on the water, and this one basically covers almost. I showed you the other day. Hexes ain't working right now, but it covers this far. None of my other stations really do. So while they look like they're overlapping coverage, and I can see y'all making that comment, they all make kind of almost their own coverage to a point. So I have a buddy who up here in this general area, because I don't want to give it away, has a hunting lease with Wi-Fi because they got money and power. It says I can put one up here. I don't know which one I'd pull away. One of these is also going in this general area. So one of these is going to go away. You're not going to see it no more. I don't know. If I had to do DIY again, I don't know where I'd put it. Like, I don't know. I listen, I'm not going to get my hopes up because I have 15 stations now. I don't know how much it would cost for a license or geosign. I don't see that happening. I really don't. You know, y'all were listening to I mean, several of y'all in here were in that several of y'all were in that AMA earlier. I don't know if y'all heard when they said that. Actually, twice they said there'll be announcements coming soon about equipment. I know people brought up DIY devices. Did y'all get that hint at all? I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm waiting for Axie to slap my hand and say something. You know, somebody else to come in or him to send me a. I don't know why my freaking hexes don't work. Oh, there we go. Godfather of the golf, baby. I thought I was lying when I said all that. I don't have my Godfather of the golf hat. Steve Vazzolino, I need some hats, man. I got my best buddy in California. His son is begging for a Grumpy Dad hat. This little boy, he saw my hat at a conference and he's begging for a hat. I told him in August she was sending him one. I told him the post office lost it, but don't tell him why. I know you've been busy. But yeah, I need a new hat. I gotta get Bit Harvest off my hat. See, I still have a the golf hat. This thing reeks so bad. I'm definitely wearing that while I'm hunting because it stinks. Too much grass cutting and working on at the hunting lease with it on. But I told him I was gonna make him just like it. So I gotta change this up. Maybe I can put Nubla on it. No, too soon. Too soon. All right, what else, guys? Everybody's starting to leave. My wife thinks my jokes are funny. So hopefully Grumpy would then be bridging this area. I got this area. I really don't want to put nothing here. There's a part of me I want to put something here just so I could say I got the four corners of the country covered, but that would be a complete waste. I'm trying to tell Canadian that he needs to go put a station way up here all by herself. Tell you what, that's some hell of a coverage. Y'all can say what y'all want. So I just want to show you all this very, 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 very unscientific thing I have here. My history. This is the WB200 antenna that came off of the station that's currently up there. This is the 3 dBi antenna. I replaced it with the 5.5 Grumpy Amazon antenna. And you can see I went from 163 to 180 and now 185. If it makes a difference. I understand for some people. I understand that some people swap their antennas out after watching my previous videos on antennas and it did not make a difference. I understand that. Those results have not been the same for me. When I first got this device and I did testing and did a video on the 3 dBi versus the 5.5 dBi, the results were astronomical difference. But before y'all go and minimize this video and go start trying to find the Amazon link in my description below, Wingbits also announced during the AMA today. See, the people who left early are going to miss this. They're also starting soon. Wait for announcement. They're starting soon on all their low altitude rewards or ground level rewards at these airports. And they mentioned the airports that are close to, the airports that are shown here. I'll show you a little map, huh? Shown here. Now, I'm trying to say I can say this without getting in trouble. There's been a little bit of very, very, very preliminary testing. And soon, if you have a station that's within a couple of miles of an airport and you're trying to get low-level aircraft, you might want to look into getting a 3 dBi antenna. The testing we've done so far is on this station and some other stations. I don't know why. I don't know why the 5.5 dBi, but this station is here. This is the runway. And for some reason, when these flights, ground level is okay, but when these flights get very low altitude, it starts clipping this 5.5 really bad. That's the only thing I can figure. Where if you either turn down the gain with the 5.5 or you switch to a 3 dBi, you get vast improvements. Now, the problem comes in is when you start getting outside of this, and you're either cutting down that gain from 5.5 or you're switching to this antenna, you're going to start losing what's out here. So that's a game you're going to have to play. You're going to have to figure out, is it more important for you to get this one, like my buddies here? You know, right now he's got a 5.5 dBi. No, that's not his. His is right here. Why does it say it's offline? It ain't offline. See, it ain't offline. But again, we turned down his. We turned down his. We've been playing. We've been playing with his gain a lot because he still has he has a 5.5 up there right now. So my plan is, we made a little horse trading deal, waiting on an adapter to come in to go to N to TNC, and we're going to put this 3 dBi back up there. He had that first a while back. We've been doing all kinds of testing, so just trust me on that. I'm giving him this 3 dBi one. He's gonna give me the 5.5 one to do something else with it, and because he also has another station further out that can get wide coverage, and then he also has a station in Tennessee, so he's clobbering Tennessee with the 5.5. I think the 3 dBi, because of the mountains, he'd probably do better with a 3 dBi, but he don't want to swap out both of them. But again, look for that announcement soon. Low altitude, along with ground. You know, I have my station here. Oh, let me see. I used to watch this a lot. Tail scale. Isn't tail scale the most greatest thing that has ever come out for computers? I'm working on 2 more host stations right now. I'm sending out, and tail scale is the first thing I put on both of them. Let's see. Tower. I know it's nighttime. On top of my buddy's 400-foot tower, it's got 1.5-inch feed line. I think it's 1.5 inch, 1 5/8 feed line, because that's just what was up there already. I know some people talking about LMR 400 earlier, so that's a hop, skip, and a jump away. 392 miles. Y'all witnessed it yourself. 392 miles. But anyway, even though this is about 20 miles away, I'm still getting ground flights on the ground at New Orleans International Airport. So I'm going to get the low coverage. But that's crazy. Crazy. What else? Mr. Olafson, I do agree with you. I cannot find 3 dBi antennas anywhere. What I have been using is, I have 2 of these now. I have my WB200 that took a crap, and I have the new WB200. So now I have somewhere two WB200s antennas, two 3 dBi antennas. I have not found a decent 3 dBi antenna yet on Amazon. When I do, I'm going to share the hell out of it, but I know they do have it. And of course, all my adapters I have, they go the opposite direction. These adapters go from TNC male to N, so that you can put a cable on it and run the antenna further out. or depending on what kind of antenna you have, if you have a female or something on the end of it. But yes, it has been very hard. So how you doing, Mr. Olafson? I appreciate you coming, stopping by. I am very disappointed that Damn It Dave is not here, but I just had to go without saying his name. I want to thank, I was going to, I have it written down right here, but I mean, we're looking at 2 hours now, guys, almost. But I wanted to personally, on video, live, thank Damn It Dave. He sent a, for those of y'all who saw it, he asked for my Crow address. I figured he would send me a couple dollars of Crow. He said he had to offset some taxes. And brother, you must have some high taxes, because I definitely did not deserve what you sent me. And I want to personally thank you, because despite what people think, a lot of us YouTubers are poor. Even with this video going 2 hours, I probably made about $2.30 off of it. So despite people think we're not making a lot on YouTube, maybe when people get, like I said, when you get to 100,000 or 200,000 subscribers, possibly, but with 19 people watching live, but I've never did it for that. Y'all know I've never did it for that. But I wanted to personally thank Damn It Dave. If he ever watches this, I appreciate his donation that he gave to the Grumpy Dad Poor Pay for a Kid in College Fund. And I really appreciate that. It was very it was a very healthy, nice reward. And that's even with the Crow price where it is today. If the Crow price goes back to $1 each, I probably will have to pay Mr. Damn It Dave some of that back, because I won't be able to sleep at night. Let's just say that's how much it was. I appreciate it. Again, thank y'all very much. What else? Anything else? Anybody? Station like a Venn diagram, vent typo. Bigger hex size, afford more DIY. Stay away from SoCal. Not many flights up there. Only 156 for 9 p.m. at night. This, I will say also, this station is also running the Air Spy Mini. So that's that $100 SDR. I'm not gonna say and tell you I did not get a huge. I didn't get. I'm not gonna say I didn't get a huge improvement. I got an improvement. I'm sure since I also installed this thing, I don't know how long ago I did a video on it. I'm sure now it's made a difference. But again, with the token price that we don't know what it is, if you have a DIY device, I'm not telling you go run out and buy AirSpy minis. They're about $100 a piece. Then you also need to buy a decent LNA with it. And you gotta run power to that. So if your DIY device is already running a Wi-Fi, thumb drive, a geosigner, an SDR, and now it's also got to run an LNA, that's now 4 things you're powering. You got to contemplate all that. But 359 miles away. We hitting Memphis. Look at that. Memphis, 304 miles away, 332 miles away. I don't know how many of y'all were here, but one time we were looking at this during a live, and that's when he had the last anomaly go on with all the sunspots and stuff. That was about 2 or 3 months ago. And I was hitting Kansas City and all up here with the Wingbit stations. So, I'm almost touching Cuba. Almost. This is one station. This is my Grand Isle station. So I'm into Florida, covering the Gulf almost by itself. I have never, fun fact, I've never hit Cuba or, was it Cancun? I wish I was in Cancun right now. I miss Cancun. But this is a DIY station in Grand Isle. Anything else except my heated blanket, brother. It is. Let's see. So I don't lie. I don't like lying to y'all. Let's see what we got here. And let me convert it from Fahrenheit to Celsius so that y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. So right now, currently, it is 20 degrees Celsius in my area. During the day today, it was 27 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees. So it's been a little warm. We had a little front coming through here today, tomorrow, and then it's supposed to be this weekend. The highs are still supposed to be like 60 or 70, but see, the lows are supposed to be, actually it's warmed up a little bit. Let's see, 64 Fahrenheit during the day, 46 in lows, 49 lows. So it warms right back up. But I will be hunting, so I don't know what that's going to be. Let's see. Last I looked, it's supposed to be like 30 something at night. Or in the mornings, yeah, 37 in the morning, 35 in the morning. Damn, one day was late in the 40s. Shit, it's supposed to rain Saturday and Sunday. Man, ain't gonna be much hunting going on. Oh, it's better than being at work, though. Negative 11 Celsius. We ain't built for that, man. It's only being a cold front, a cold winter, and possibly getting snow again this year. You know, we got snow last year and we shut down everything for 3 days. It only snowed one day, but we got shut down 3 days. We're not built for that. We don't have snow plows. We don't have anything clear the roads. We had to borrow stuff from other states just to come clear our interstates. We are not built for snow. Our power lines ain't built for snow. You almost have to prepare for snow like you do a hurricane. You're gonna lose power. You're gonna lose water for some reason. Oh, we lose water because the amount of pipes that burst. People don't have their pipes protected because we will have some winters where we might hit 32 degrees, which is 0 Celsius. You know, we might hit that 3 or 4 days out the winter, right at 0 Celsius. That's about it. So we don't get a hard freeze. But when we do get a hard freeze, you lose water because everybody's pipe busts because they're not ready for it. So it was 50 in Arizona, down to high 30s at night. Afraid I got a cold. See, I got sinuses right now just because it was 30, 40 the other day, then it's 80. When we get these crazy temperature swings, it gets crazy. All right, we're talking about weather now. Well, I guess technically that wraps into Nubla and Weather XM, so we are kind of still talking crypto. I gotta go at some point because I have to finish this video on this air squitter on 4D Sky. You know, I don't know what I'm gonna say about it other than really the facts and let people make their own decisions. 4D Sky does go on sale again for those who came in late. I see you've got 20 people in here now. Welcome. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in and the way out. And 4D Sky goes on sale tomorrow. Helium Deploy, depending on when you're watching this, it's about 15 hours from now. Use the Grumpy code. Save you $50 on it. You can put that $50 towards an antenna you're also going to need. Also, for those who caught my video last night, let me see if I can get to it. I'll show it to y'all. For those who did catch my video last night, we are also, again, y'all need to be in my Discord. If y'all not in my Discord, I'm sure most of y'all are. But last night, I revealed that we're also playing around with a new project. Last night's video was very long. I don't know why sometimes I feel like I'm rushing through them. I feel like they're going to be under an hour. This was probably one of my longest videos I've had. I also, the chapters didn't show up for some reason. Why the hell wouldn't the chapters show up? All the chapters are here. We're in a new one called CapturGO. If you want to join CapturGO, I have a referral code right here. You can go join CapturGO. There's a referral code, and with that referral code, you get bonus tokens just for signing up. What is CapturGO? CapturGO is another project. If you're familiar with 375 AI, it's something kind of similar to that, where you can allow it to run in the background of your phone. Trying to find a website for you. And that's what's cool about it. You can, it's like 375 AI. You run it on the background of your phone and you capture hexes. Right now, it's only good for iOS, but this is a very, very, very new project. You can't get in it if you're in a rush for mainnet, TGE, or anything like that. You know, some of us did fairly well with 375 Go. They are seeing basically, you know, a time when you would be reporting now potholes, you know, and different things like that. But it's a new project. The best part about it, it's free. After a couple of weeks, a month, you want to play with it, you don't want to play with it no more, guess what? You don't do it. You're not out of any money. You know, 375 Go made pretty decent, a little bit decent money. It's a free project. Nadix was a free project. If I was sold out when everybody told me to, I would have made $900 off a free project. Now I got $300 worth. So, hey, if you want to sign up, you can hit sign up again in my description. I don't know if I have it in this description. Yep. In this description below, actually, I have a referral code for CapturGO. Download on your iOS phone, Apple phone, whatever you want to call it. Let it run in the background and call it a day. Going on my hunt trip this weekend, and I will have it running. So, I do find a pain in the ass that makes you sign in every now and then. So, but I have hexes, trust me. I'm not in the mood to sign in right now. So with this one, you are going to have to check it a little more often than you do 375 AI, because I don't ever have to sign into that one. So you do have to check it every now and then. And see, it's just another project to join. Again, it's not going to be for some people, but the price is right to get into it. You're not spending $1,000 to get into it or anything like that. So Capture sucks. Constantly crashing, kills battery even when quick charging. Looks like the top 4. Yeah, it checks me out too. But I say that, but I checked it yesterday and I was signed in to it. So that's gonna be something they're gonna have to address, because part of it is that you should be able to run it in the background. And if you're gonna have to keep it foreground, that's the word to use, it ain't gonna be as successful, because on my phone, I got my own stuff in the in the main part, whether it's Discord that I'm playing around with, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, anything like that. If I got to run that, unless I stick it on one of my phones, one of my 4 phones that's on my dashboard now. But again, I'd never check those to see if they're signed in, because each phone does its own thing. Chirp KAGE, Nadix, Sword Chain, Rover. When I start each one of those, I see it open and it's doing it. So, all right, boys and girls, 2 hours. Hope everybody got some on my video, especially those who missed the AMA earlier. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. If y'all practice that, if you aren't practiced, if you're not in America, go buy a turkey and cook it, overcook it, and eat so much of it that you pass out in the middle of the football game. That's our American tradition. Overeating during turkey season, um, my family does Thanksgiving tomorrow night. It's been our tradition forever because the guys go hunting, leave Thursday morning, and we hunt Thanksgiving weekend. That's just a big family thing that we got. And, you know, as we get older, some of our uncles aren't with us anymore, can't make that trip. And younger, you don't realize it. Older, you'll know when it comes around these holidays, I get a little mushy. Y'all gonna have to forgive me for that. But as we get older, I had a good friend of mine who, and we don't talk as much as we used to. We get older, stuff like that. But a friend of mine who, father died, his dad was still riding motorcycles. Nobody hit him. They don't know what happened. Don't know if he had a heart attack or something. Fell off the motorcycle in the ditch, basically broke his back, and a week later was passed away in the hospital. You never know what's going to happen. It's luckily my parents are still with me, and while I miss things, my grandfather used to be a cook. He was actually a cook even in the army, military, and the man lived for the holidays because he had the biggest spread in the world of food and stuff like that. He was um grew up in a restaurant. My great grandparents were cooks in a restaurant, had their own restaurant years ago, again, before I was born. They immigrated here from Greece and went right into the restaurant business. They, my grandfather, again, and I don't cook no as much as he does. I still have books and books of his recipes. And Thanksgiving was very special to him, and I think about him a lot. Me and him are very close. I named my son after him. Fun fact, actually. And so I get mushy during the holidays. Y'all gonna have to deal with it. So I'm gonna tell y'all 1,000 times. If you still got family members, your mom and dad are here, you know, give them an extra hug. Just remember, one day they won't be. Our parents are getting older. Luckily, still get around. My dad is in his 70s. Still goes elk hunting in New Mexico, climbing up mountains. With the man gets up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning, goes walks 2 or 3 miles in front of the house, and I get out of the bed and got to go take a leak twice, and my back hurts so bad I can barely make it to the toilet. It is what it is. Um, Now that my kid's in college and you don't get to see him, he's home. He just came home for Thanksgiving, and it just means a little more. And some of y'all are younger, y'all have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I see I already lost half the people here, so be it. I don't care. It's my channel. I'm just trying to tell y'all. People used to tell me the same thing, and I didn't understand when my kids were way younger. And now what I do is you just have to look. As I'm sitting here doing YouTube videos, and my son's here, but we're gonna spend the whole weekend together, hunting. But you know, spend the time with family and stuff like that. Um, it is what it is. But I wish all y'all happy Thanksgiving for those of y'all who practice it. And for those of y'all who don't, just eat too much on Thursday until you almost pass out, puke, almost pass out, or you do pass out, then congratulations, basically the same thing while watching football. So thank y'all very much for everything. Oh, excuse me. Too much Diet Coke. Got to do this this 40 Sky video. If I have time tomorrow, I'm gonna get my notes from the AMA. If I have time tomorrow evening while packing, I am probably gonna do another kind of quicker follow-up video on the Wingbits AMA for those for those people who didn't make the AMA. So I'll probably release that video Friday just to kind of spread it out. And then we'll be back next Monday. There will be no live Thursday because it is Thanksgiving here in the States and wherever else. I'm pretty sure it's only United States holiday, but in case somebody else does, I don't want to upset them. Whatever holiday it might be Thursday for y'all, but there will be no live. So this will be the only live until next Tuesday. And like I said, I'll try to put some videos out. I will be on the Discord where I go hunting at has internet, so I can't get away from it. I'll be keeping up with all y'all and Discord and making sure that who fought it doesn't get too political in the Discord and all the stuff like that. We know he hates Trump. It is what it is. He don't have to remind us. But luckily, we live in a country where you can discuss that kind of stuff. This isn't a Europe or wherever it is that you say something bad on social media and the police are knocking on your door to arrest you. We're not that bad yet. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank y'all for the support again. I really appreciate all y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. I really do. It means a lot to me. Appreciate the support. And y'all have a good night. Somebody get the light on the way out. And we'll see you on the next video. Thank y'all.